Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley. It's Friday and it's Easter weekend, so I hope you guys all have a good one. But before we get to that, the news. We've got Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze coming to the Switch in May, which I'm pretty excited about, but Nintendo might be hinting that another brand new Donkey Kong entry is on the way. This tease comes courtesy of Nintendo Italy, who posted an interesting image to Instagram featuring the titular gorilla, along with text that translates to, "There is no 2 without 3. What does that mean? Well, it seems potentially to be pointing toward not only Tropical Freeze, but also Donkey Kong Country Returns, with Retro Studios being the developer behind both of those titles. Certainly sounds like they're hinting there's a third possible game in the works, and that Retro is yet again at the helm, which would be great. Why Nintendo Italy's Instagram account was the place to start teasing this supposed game is anyone's guess, but we'll definitely wait and see if we can get something more official. For now, you can at the very least await the release of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for Switch on May 4th. It might be hard to believe, but wait, we've got even more signs that Kingdom Hearts 3 is real and getting closer to release. I know. Crazy, right? This time the confirmation that the game is actually progressing comes from Hercules voice actor James Woods, who plays the character Hades, who let it slip that he's been doing English voice work for the game recently. Woods dropped this little tidbit via Twitter, responding to someone who asked if the actor, who's known for being a bit of a hothead on Twitter, was having his tweets deleted by the platform, to which Woods said, no, he's been playing a poker tournament and working on a, quote, Kingdom of Hearts video game. So maybe it's not a confirmation of Kingdom Hearts 3 moving into the final stages. Maybe it's a brand new game called Kingdom of Hearts, which, you know what, you can just learn the name of the game, Mr. Woods. You're in it. We love it. Come on, that hurts. Like, there are loads of ways to win a game of Fortnite Battle Royale, but now players have figured out a way to snatch victories by riding, get this, guided missiles. The recently introduced guided missile is just what it sounds like, a missile that you can control manually. However, some players are now jumping on top of the missile itself and using it to maneuver around maps or flank their opponents. This has resulted in loads of goofy videos making their way online, which is great for everyone who likes watching them, including a couple by streamers Ninja and Dr. Lupo, where the two played as teammates, and one of them literally guided the other to victory. So if you're wondering why everyone's clamoring for guided missile launchers in the game, you know, besides the obvious reasons that rocket launchers are awesome, anything that will explode is a-okay in my book, well, some people might be just trying to get a little bit of surfing in. You can count RPG creator Level 5 among the developers who will now be supporting the Nintendo Switch in a more official capacity. In a new interview with Japanese publication Nikkei, Level 5 CEO Akihiro Hino announced that the company's got big plans for Nintendo's hybrid console. Hino said, basically, in the future, our main titles will all be released on Nintendo Switch. The idea is that what we have created for 3DS will move over to Switch. Like, that is gonna be sweet, sweet music to the ears of fans around the world. Level 5 is responsible for games like the recently released Ni no Kuni 2, as well as Professor Layton, which, oh god, the Professor Layton games, man, that was like one of the games that really set the standard for DS, if you ask me. I loved the Professor Layton games. But also, hey guys, get on that Ni no Kuni 2 Switch port, please. I love the game. I also want like every RPG ever to come to Switch now, so there's that. And it looks like GUACAMELEE 2 is not just coming to PlayStation 4. Now you might remember it was announced back in October, very exciting. I loved GUACAMELEE, it was awesome. But it was only announced for PS4, which struck some people as odd considering you could play the original GUACAMELEE on, well, practically anything. Turns out that GUACAMELEE 2 is also coming to Steam, according to a YouTube announcement that was released today. Its description on the Steam store says, head back to the Mexiverse in this long-awaited sequel to the smash hit GUACAMELEE. Uppercut your way to victory across stunning new handcrafted levels, featuring full 4-player co-op, fancy new wrestling moves, sassy new bosses, twice the enemies, and 300% more chickens. As for when it'll release, Drinkbox says soon, so not very specific. No more platforms have been announced yet, but honestly, if it's doing PS4 and PC, kinda hard to imagine it won't release elsewhere as well. Hey you guys, do you remember that whole thing with Lindsay Lohan suing the publisher of Grand Theft Auto 5 way back in 2014, saying that they used her likeness without permission? Well, that whole thing revolved around the character Lacey Jonas, who Lohan claimed was a look and sound alike, even though well, pretty much everyone who was not Lindsay Lohan disagreed. Anyway, the case was thrown out of court last year, but Lohan's lawyers appealed, which led to this recent decision by New York State's Court of Appeals, and they ruled unanimously that the depictions were nothing more than cultural comment and that Take-Two didn't owe Lohan anything. They added that the artistic renderings are indistinct, satirical representations of the style, look, and persona of a modern beach-going young woman that are not reasonably identifiable as plaintiff. So, hey, looks like this case, at long last, has come to an end. I remember us covering that not long after the No started. I mean, it's been a while. Telltale Games has announced the final season of The Walking Dead, and it looks like we'll be getting a first look at the game very soon. In a tweet that said, "Finish Clementine's story," the studio announced that the final season of the game will premiere later this year. The studio also said they'll show off footage of the game at its PAX East panel next Friday, April 6th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will also be streamed on Twitch. The Telltale website says about the panel, "Together we'll look back on Clementine's journey so far and take a sneak peek at how it all ends." It's definitely been a long ride for the game. It kicked off way back in 2012. As for details about the final season's plot, Telltale also released one image that shows an axe-wielding Clementine protecting a young child. So whatever happens, wow, that character's come a really long way. Headlines appeared all over the internet proclaiming that Meryl Streep was going to step into the role of Leia Organa in J.J. Abrams' Star Wars Episode 9, which, as you can imagine, sent just shockwaves everywhere, but it's not true. No, Meryl Streep is not filling in for the late Carrie Fisher. The rumor began with a petition filed by Star Wars fans asking that Disney recast Leia so the character has a definite ending. That petition has almost 8,000 signatures, but hey, guess what? That doesn't mean it's real or that Disney's even going to consider it. In fact, Lucasfilm's already stated they're not going to replace Fisher or do a CGI version of her character a la Rogue One. It's kind of unclear based on all that how Abrams is going to handle losing one of Star Wars' most recognizable faces, but it's a pretty good bet that Meryl Streep will not be in Episode 9. One of Stephen King's weirdest books is now getting the big screen treatment. I guess they've run out of everything else. According to The Hollywood Reporter, The Conjuring's James Wan is teaming up with IT producer Roy Lee to adapt The Tommyknockers. And right now, all studios and major streaming outlets are considering that package. The novel was written at the height of King's drug addiction, and the author himself has called the book awful, but added, "There's a good book in there underneath all the sort of spurious energy that cocaine provides." The book is about 700 pages long, and I'm thinking there's probably a good 350-page novel there. That's from the author. The story revolves around an alien gas released in a small Maine town that gives the residents superpowers and also drives them crazy. Great movies have been made from not great books before. I mean, look, Jaws? Anybody? And James Wan seems to be knocking it out of the park lately, so we'll see. Next week should bring more news about this project as studio heads return from their Easter weekends, and then we'll see. Ahead of this summer's release of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom comes the news that Colin Trevorrow will be back in the director's seat for the film's inevitable sequel. The news was confirmed by Steven Spielberg himself to Entertainment Weekly, stating that Trevorrow will be picking up the writing and directing duties for the franchise's next entry. While Trevorrow directed the first film, well, Jurassic World, the second was actually directed by J.A. Bayona, who Trevorrow was serving with as the film's co-writer. So, welcome back to Dinosaurland, Colin Trevorrow. I'm sure there are a lot of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World fans who have very strong feelings about that. So far, the third film has a release date of June 11th, 2021. However, you can all catch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom well before that. It's launching June 22nd of this year, just in time for Jurassic World Evolution, the game, to come out and tie in very nicely date-wise. Well, digitally it's releasing later, physically. We did a whole cool gameplay breakdown of it if you want to check that out. Now, if you didn't like Facebook already, hey, guess what? This story is not going to change that. A leaked memo from a top Facebook executive has been yet another embarrassment for the company, which is already embroiled in a ton of controversy over its data collection practices. The memo was written in 2016 by executive Andrew Bosworth, and in it he says that all the work we do in growth is justified, even if it costs someone their life because they're exposed to bullies or die in a terrorist attack, which, yikes. After the memo was reported by BuzzFeed, Bosworth tweeted that he didn't agree with the post at the time he'd posted it, but that he had shared it with staff to be provocative. And in a statement to BuzzFeed, CEO Mark Zuckerberg called Bosworth a talented leader who says many provocative things. It's like they It's like they talked about that, using that buzzword. But he said the memo was something that most people at Facebook, including myself, disagreed with strongly. So, have fun with Facebook, everyone. All right, that is it for this roundup. That's all the news. We finished out the week. We did it. Good job, everybody. Have a great Easter weekend. But before you do that, make sure that you let us know what you think of all the updates in the comments. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the Know if you're not already. That way you can see all the videos that we do, because we do a lot of news. Level 5 CEO Akihiro Hino announced that the company's got big plans for Nintendo's hybrid console. Hino said, basically in the future of our main titles, which led to this recent decision by the New York State. Which led to this recent decision by New York's state.